AITA for cutting off my mom after an accidental call exposed her dark secret? My name is Natalie. I was 28 years old at the time and worked in finance at a pretty decent company. It all started on a Tuesday morning when my boss called me into his office. Mr. Williams had been my supervisor for 3 years, and honestly, he had always been fair with me. I knocked on the door and walked in. He was behind his large wooden desk with several papers spread out. "Natalie, have a seat," he told me, pointing to the chair on the other side. "I need to talk to you about something important." I sat down and tried to read his face. He looked serious but not angry. "I have been observing your work for a while now," he started. "Your financial analysis reports always turn out very well. And how you handled the Harrington account last month was top-notch. You saved us good money and several headaches." I felt a little jump of excitement. This was a raised conversation. "Thank you," I said. "I really appreciate it. That is exactly why I want to offer you something big," he continued. "We are going to expand the Kansas City office, and I want you to transfer there as the lead financial analyst." My heart raced. It was a promotion. Better salary, more responsibility. "Over there you will help build the department from scratch." I had been in the same position for 2 years, watching others move up while I stayed behind. I felt like a door was finally opening for me. "That sounds incredible," I blurted out. "How much are we talking about?" "An increase of around $14,000 a year," he answered, as if he had already calculated it. "And the company covers the move. Plus there is real room to grow. If you do things right, in 2 years you could be in a coordinating or even a management position." I tried to process it. $14,000 more a year. That was not just anything. That was life-changing. Paying off debts, finally saving and breathing easier. And then reality hit me. Kansas City was far away, almost an 8-hour drive from Dallas if you cleared the outbound traffic and the construction zones did not turn into chaos. 8 hours away from my family. "How much time do I have to decide?" I asked. "I want your answer on Friday," he said. "That is 4 days. I know your family situation is complicated. I understand it is not just your decision, but think about it calmly and consider what is best for you in the long run." I thanked him and left with my head spinning. My family situation. He knew about it because more than once I had to say no to work trips or staying late due to matters at home. And my family situation really was complicated. I am the oldest of 3. My parents are good people in many ways. Do not misunderstand me, but they never finished college. My dad, Rick, works in construction when his back allows it. My mom, Susan, worked in a retail store until her arthritis got worse about 3 years ago. Then there is my brother Tyler, who is 25, and my sister Samantha, who is 23. Neither of them went to college. Tyler works hourly in a warehouse and Samantha jumps from job to job, almost always as a store clerk, whatever comes up. They both live on their own, but they barely make enough. I was the lucky one, I guess. I was always good at numbers and reading. My parents pushed me hard to study. When I was able to get into a good university to study finance with a scholarship, it was a miracle because there was no way my family could have paid for it, and my parents never let me forget it. "We raised you well," my mom would say. "That is why you turned out like this. You got that scholarship because we made you do your homework, because we bought you books when we could." And they were partly right. They encouraged me, they bought me notebooks and books when they could, and they helped me however they could. So when I graduated and got a job, I had one idea stuck in my head. I owed them. It started small. "Daughter, I need $200 to fix the car. Daughter, help me out with $300 for some doctor's appointments and medicine. Natalie, I am $600 short on my rental deposit. Can you lend it to me, and then I will see how I pay you back. I need money for work clothes. Otherwise, they will not even hire me." Seemed normal to help if I could. But then my mom's arthritis got worse, and she could no longer work full-time. At home, paying the mortgage started to get tight. My dad's income was not enough, so I started helping with that too. "Just until your mom recovers," they said. Only my mom never recovered, and without realizing it, I became my family's bank. I paid the monthly mortgage for the house, helped with therapies, doctor's appointments, and medicine. I covered Tyler's rent when his hours were cut, and bailed Samantha out every time she changed jobs or her car broke down. I made good money but not enough to support 4 adults. Even so, after supporting everyone, I had almost nothing left for myself. I was still living in a small 1-bedroom apartment in an affordable area. I drove a car that was already on its last legs, bought generic brand groceries and watched every penny. I had not gone on a real vacation in 3 years. I could not even save up for a down payment on my own place. But they were my family and they always thanked me. "You are an angel," my mom would tell me. "We do not know what we would do without you." And it felt good. It felt good to be needed, to be the one who resolves things, the one who saves them. That Saturday I went to my parents' house for our family meal. They lived in a modest house they had bought with a lot of effort in the Dallas suburbs. My mom had made a hearty pot roast, mashed potatoes and warm biscuits. The usual crew was there, laughing and talking as if everything was normal. When we finished, I took a deep breath. "I have something to tell you," I blurted out. Everyone turned around. This week I was offered a promotion, but it is in Kansas City. I would have to move. The silence was immediate. I saw the color drain from my mom's face. "You cannot go, Natalie," she said, and her voice broke instantly. "You cannot abandon your family like this." "I am not abandoning anyone," I replied. "It is a job opportunity." But my mom was already crying, really crying, with tears running down her face. "If you leave, we are going to have problems," she said between sobs. "You know we depend on you. The house, my therapies, your dad's back, and moving costs money. You are going to have new expenses. You will not be able to help us like before anymore." My dad nodded seriously. "Your mother is right," he finished. "We need you here. Family comes first." Tyler and Samantha looked at me with worried faces. "And my rent," Tyler blurted out. "I cannot handle that without your help." Samantha chimed in quickly. "And I just started at this job. If a problem comes up, what do I do if you are no longer here?" I saw their faces. I heard the panic in their voices. I saw my mom crying. A horrible weight fell on me. How could I leave if they needed me? "Okay," I said, finally swallowing everything. "Okay, I will not take the position. I will stay." My mom wiped away her tears and smiled in the same movement, as if the world had righted itself for her. "Oh, thank God," she said. "I knew you were going to choose well. You are a good daughter." Everyone relaxed. The conversation moved on to something else, but I was left with a hole in my chest, feeling like I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. On Monday, I went to Mr. Williams's office and told him I could not accept the transfer. He looked disappointed but not surprised. "I understand," he said. "Family obligations can tangle up your life. But Natalie, think about something. Make sure the relationship with your family is as equal and healthy as you think it is." I did not understand what he meant at the time, but I thanked him. I had already decided. I was staying to take care of my family like always. 3 weeks went by, and I returned to the same automatic mode. Working all day, coming back tired, and stretching my salary to cover their needs and mine. I worked overtime whenever I could so there would be enough for my parents' mortgage, my mom's therapies, and whatever emergency came up. And there were always emergencies. My friend Rachel, who I studied with, texted me about going on a long weekend trip to Miami. She had found a good deal and told me that if we shared a room, it would cost us between $800 and $900 total, including the flight and hotel. "Come on," she insisted. "You have not given yourself a break in years. You deserve it." I thought about it. With that money, I could buy Tyler the new phone he had been hinting about for months. His cell phone was in bad shape with a shattered screen and was very slow, and he spent all his time complaining about it. So I told Rachel, "No, maybe next time. I have family matters to deal with." The truth is I felt useful helping them. When my mom called to thank me for paying for her therapy sessions, or when Tyler hugged me and told me I was the best sister, I felt it was worth it. That was what I kept telling myself. Until a Tuesday afternoon, while I was at my desk reviewing some budgets, my cell phone rang. "Mom," I answered. "Hi, Mom, what happened?" "Hi, my love," she said. And as soon as I heard her tone, I knew a request was coming. "Sorry to bother you at work, but we have a situation." "What situation?" "The kitchen sink has been leaking water since yesterday. Your dad tried to fix it and made it worse. It has already gotten damp under the cabinet, and we need a plumber to come over. I rubbed my forehead. And how much is it going to cost? The man who came to look at it says it is about $400 to leave it in good shape. He says a part needs to be changed, the faucet needs adjusting, and he has to check what got wet on the cabinet so it does not all swell up. $400. That week I had already paid my parents' mortgage and my rent. Plus, I had covered a car repair for Samantha. My bank account was already thin. I took a deep breath. Okay, I said. I will do it right now. I opened the bank app and with a tight throat, made the transfer right then. Natalie, you are our salvation, my mom burst out. As always. I do not know what we would do without you. You are the only thing we have. Your dad and I did not sleep thinking about this, but I knew you were going to resolve it. You always resolve things. Her words warmed my chest as if she were hugging me. We said our goodbyes and I went to hang up, but I noticed the call was still ongoing. My mom had not hung up on her end. I was about to disconnect when I heard voices in the background. I froze with the phone pressed to my ear. I heard my mom again, but she was not talking to me anymore. Well, that was easy, she said in a completely different voice, cold and annoyed. The one who always helps always falls for it. My body went cold. My dad let out a chuckle. $400 for a sink that I can fix perfectly fine with a $20 part. And then, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. But why do I even bother if our personal bank is happy to pay? I felt my ears ringing. I pressed the phone closer. It is really sad, my mom continued. Always desperate to feel needed. It is just that is what family is for, she said, mimicking my voice with a whiny tone. Ugh, makes me so mad. Sometimes I cannot stand her, but well, at least she is useful. Tyler's voice chimed in. I wish she would stop pretending she does not have money. I have been bringing up the phone thing for weeks and nothing. Samantha laughed. Well, tell her more directly. I just tell her my car broke down or that I need money for work and that is it. It always works. They burst out laughing as if I were a joke. My dad said. Remember when she almost left us for Kansas City? Oof, I already saw myself in trouble, Tyler added. Thanks to me she did not leave, my mom said proudly. As soon as she mentioned moving, I knew what to do. Cry a little bit, guilt trip her about abandoning the family, and that is it. She stayed here like she is supposed to. My dad scoffed. Yeah. Did your acting work out well? And my mom finished it off as if she were talking about an object. She thinks we really love her. She thinks we are grateful to her, but well, she is nothing special. She is just a very convenient source of money. If she ever stopped paying, we drop her and that is it. My heart started pounding against my chest. My dad added as if it were a joke. The funniest part is that she actually thinks we love her. There was a short silence and then the sentence that broke something inside me. I did not even want her, my dad said. It was an accident. She caught us very young and ruined everything for us. If she had not been born, who knows? Maybe we would have even gone to college. I felt nauseous. I felt the room spinning around me, even though I was sitting in the office. Samantha said in an amused tone. The best part is the guilt she carries around. As if she owed us something just for existing. It is so easy to manipulate her. She is capable of eating nothing but tuna and instant noodles, but she always finds a way for us. Tyler laughed. Next time I am going to tell her that if she cannot buy me the phone, she should tighten her belt more. Let us see if that works. And again that laugh, that ugly loose laugh without an ounce of shame. I hung up with trembling hands. I sat staring at my computer screen, but I could not see anything anymore. My world had just shattered in 5 minutes. I do not know how long I sat there with my eyes wide open. I finished the day on autopilot, as if I were detached from myself. When I left, I drove to my apartment in silence, my stomach churning. I arrived, threw myself on the couch and stared at the ceiling. My cell phone buzzed with messages. I ignored them for a while until I finally picked it up. It was my mom. Thank you, my love, for the sink money. You were so quick to support us. You are an angel. I love you. I read the message 3 times. The same sweetness as always, the same act. Now I knew what they really thought. I was not their daughter. I was not their sister. I was their bank. I spent that night replaying their conversation over and over again. And the worst part was accepting how blind I had been. All the times I thought I was being a good daughter and a good sister, sacrificing myself out of love, it was a lie. They did not love me. They used me. And then Mr. Williams's words hit me. Make sure the relationship with your family is as equal and healthy as you think it is. He had seen it before I did. They were not afraid of losing me when I told them about Kansas City. They were afraid of losing the money. The next day I arrived at work like a ghost, but something inside me had already changed, as if a blindfold had been taken off. Around 10 in the morning, I went to Mr. Williams's office and knocked on the doorframe. "Come in," he said, looking up. "How are you, Natalie?" I swallowed hard. "I have been thinking about what you told me," I started. And without realizing it, I told him everything. About my family, what I was paying for, and what I heard on the call. He leaned back in his chair and looked at me calmly. "And you were right," I said with a voice firmer than I expected. "It is not healthy. It is not equal. Is the position in Kansas City still available?" A slow smile formed on his face. "It is," he said. It was a new position, and we still had not closed the hiring process. "Are you ready?" "Yes," I replied, "as soon as possible." He nodded, as if he understood perfectly. "Good for you. You are going to do very well. When can you start?" "I need a few weeks to wrap things up here. And my apartment lease, you know, the basics." "Take your time. I will start the paperwork today." I left his office with a lightness I had not felt in years. For the first time in a long time, I was making a decision for myself. That same day I called my landlord, Mr. Jenkins. He was an older man, serious but always fair with me. "Good afternoon, Mr. Jenkins. This is Natalie from apartment 4B. I wanted to talk about my lease." "Tell me." "I am being transferred to another city for work. I need to leave soon. I know it is usually a 30-day notice, but is there any way we can work it out? I really need this." He stayed quiet for a few seconds. "Look," he finally said. "You have been a good tenant. You were never late. You have not given me any problems. When would you have to leave?" "In 2 weeks." "Yes, it can be done," he sighed. "Okay, we will terminate the contract next Friday without penalty, but hand everything back in good condition. As for me, I do not get involved in family business." I almost cried from relief. "Thank you truly. You do not know how much this means." The following week flew by amidst boxes and pending tasks. I sold almost all my furniture online and at a consignment shop, keeping only the essentials. I packed what was important. I started looking for apartments in Kansas City online. I found a decent one-bedroom place and viewed it with the help of a real estate agent via video call. I got everything locked down. The hardest part was not telling my family anything. Every day I expected someone to call me to ask for money or invent an emergency, but that week they were busier with their own things, and for once they did not reach out. I scheduled the move for Thursday and asked for Friday off to wrap up the last details. When I handed the keys over to Mr. Jenkins, I felt like I was shedding an old skin. Before leaving, I told him, "Can I ask you a favor?" "What is it?" "If anyone comes asking for me, especially my family, would you do me the favor of not telling them where I went? Just tell them I already moved." He looked at me with a worried frown. "Is everything okay?" "It is going to be okay," I said. "I just need to cut ties with people who hurt me." Mr. Jenkins nodded slowly. "That is fine by me. You are no longer here, and I do not give out information." As a thank you, I brought him a small gift of high-quality coffee and chocolates. I shook his hand. "Take care of yourself," he told me. On Saturday morning, I hit the interstate heading to Kansas City. I left early to avoid the city traffic as much as I could. Almost 8 hours of freedom, with my life packed in the trunk and on the seats. I had already agreed to start on Monday, and spent the weekend settling into my new apartment. On Monday I arrived at the new office feeling nervous but excited. The team welcomed me warmly. The work was challenging in the best way. It made me feel alive. I had real responsibilities and people listened to my ideas. For the first time I felt like I was truly using what I knew. A few days passed and when the date the mortgage payment always fell on approached, my cell phone started ringing like crazy. "Mom." I stared at the name for a long time and let it go to voicemail. She called back an hour later and again at night. I did not answer. The next day a message arrived. I have not heard from you, my love. I was thinking of going to see you this weekend. It has been a while since we saw you. I knew what that meant. They needed money for something and wanted to ask me in person. I deleted the message without replying. Over the next few days, the calls and messages increased. First my mom, then my dad, then Tyler and Samantha, all of them looking for me, all wondering why their personal bank was not answering. Then my mom sent the usual direct message saying the house payment was coming up and asking me to make the transfer. Like always. I smiled. For the first time in years, I smiled at a message from my family because I knew I was never going to send them a single dollar again. The calls continued for another week. They sounded desperate by now. Tyler called me 6 times in a single day. Samantha left a voice memo saying she had to talk to me about something important. My dad wrote, "Are you okay? You are not answering anymore." I ignored everything, every message, every call. And the strange thing was that it felt incredible. Then my mom sent a panic text. "I went to your apartment and it is empty. I talked to the man, and he told me you moved, but he would not tell me where." I laughed out loud alone in my living room when I read it. Mr. Jenkins had kept his word. After that, the messages got worse. Where was I? Why was I not answering? What was going on? They even tried calling my old job, but I had already warned Human Resources that due to privacy policies, they should not give out any personal information about me. A week later, I decided it was time to end this once and for all. I sat down with my computer and wrote an email to my mom. I wanted it in writing so they could not play dumb. "Mom, I heard the conversation you all had after I talked to you about the sink. I heard everything that you, my dad, Tyler, and Samantha said about me. I know that I am nothing to you. Just a source of money. I know the crying at lunch was an act to manipulate me. I know you do not love me or value anything I have done. So congratulations. The one you think is worthless is no longer going to support any of you. Do not look for me. I am going to change my number. And I will never send you money again. Natalie." I hit send before I could regret it. The reply arrived the next day. A long email begging for forgiveness. My mom said they were sorry, that they spoke out of turn, that they loved me, and she finished with what she thought was the final blow, that after reading my email she had gotten a severe pain in her chest. They had called an ambulance, and she spent the night in the emergency room. She wanted to see me in person to ask for forgiveness and fix things. I read it all and shook my head. Even then, she was still trying to manipulate me with guilt. A dramatic emergency to force me to respond. I deleted the email without replying. That same week I changed my number. I blocked everyone on social media. I set up filters so any email from their addresses would go straight to spam. And for the first time since I became an adult, I felt free. My new job was going very well. My boss there valued what I did and treated me like a professional. After 2 months they gave me a raise, something that seemed impossible at my previous job. And without having to support 4 people, suddenly I had enough. Real money. I bought myself new clothes without feeling guilty. I traded my car for a more reliable one. I started saving for a down payment on a house, and yes, in the end I took that trip with Rachel. We went on a long weekend getaway to Miami, and it was like remembering that I also had the right to live. 6 months went by without talking to anyone in my family. I do not know how they managed to pay for their things, and to be honest, I do not care. I am sure they found a way. Maybe my dad learned to fix the sink himself. Maybe Tyler looked for a full-time job. Maybe Samantha stopped jumping from one place to another and settled into something stable. Or maybe, for the first time in years, they had to struggle. Either way, it was no longer my problem. My friends from my old life, the ones who know the story, were a huge support. They do not bring me gossip about my family, and I appreciate that. The few times someone mentions they saw one of them around, they just say, "They looked fine," and change the subject. I started making plans for the first time. I started looking at houses. I started thinking about my future. I even thought about getting a master's degree later on, things I never could have imagined while I was paying for other people's lives. The best part was realizing something that shifted my mindset. I used to believe that my value lay in being needed, in resolving things, in saving people. But that was not love. That was allowing 4 adults to avoid taking responsibility for their own lives. Now I help in a different way. I volunteer for a financial literacy program on weekends, teaching people how to organize themselves and how to budget. At work, I started mentoring younger girls who are just coming in. I donate to causes that actually make a difference, but I no longer break my back so that others can be comfortable. Sometimes people ask me if I miss my family or if I feel guilty for cutting ties. And the answer is no. You cannot miss someone who never truly loved you, and you cannot feel guilty for refusing to be a victim. I am already 29. I live in a city I like. I do a job that challenges me, and I am saving for my dreams instead of financing the lack of ambition of others. I have friends who love me for me, not for my money. Last month I went on a weekend trip to Las Vegas from Kansas City just because I felt like it. I stayed in a nice hotel, ate delicious food, and bought myself a necklace I had been wanting for a long time. Everything cost me about $800. More or less what I used to spend in a month helping my family. There I was sitting by the pool with a glass of sparkling water with lemon, reading a book, and I thought about my old life, the overtime, the sad apartment, the car that was falling apart, and how I almost let the opportunity of a lifetime pass me by because 4 people had convinced me that I owed them my future. A wave of relief so overwhelming washed over me that it almost physically hurt. I am grateful I heard that call. If I had not heard their conversation, maybe I would still be trapped in that cycle, believing lies about family, obligation, and love while my life slipped away paying bills that were not mine for people who stayed with me only until the money ran out. Comment. I really connected with the deeper message in this story. What touched me the most is how important it is to recognize our own worth. Setting clear boundaries with family or anyone else is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. We can still be kind and loving without sacrificing our peace and well-being. Taking responsibility for our own happiness is one of the most powerful choices we can make. Healing begins when we stop accepting situations that slowly drain us. I hope this encourages you to gently reflect on your own relationships and what truly serves your heart. Choosing your peace is a brave step toward a more fulfilling life. You deserve to be surrounded by genuine love and respect. Remember, you are worthy of putting yourself first sometimes. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.